Welcome to Leadership and Motherhood, the podcast for ambitious, high-achieving women navigating leadership in the boardroom and at home. I'm your host, Leanna Laskey McGrath, business leader, mom, and certified executive coach. I believe that every woman deserves to create a life and career on her own terms, one that she truly loves. This podcast is here to help you do just that. Let's get started. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Thank you so much for being here with me today in this first week of April, start of Q2. Where does the time go? It's been flying by. And I hope that you have been enjoying Leadership and Motherhood so far. We are a month in since we launched, and I've had so much fun talking to all these amazing women, and I've been sharing those conversations on the show. I hope that you have been enjoying them as well. I have a lot more amazing interviews coming up that you'll be hearing here in April, and I've just been having so much fun talking to women who inspire me. And today I wanted to just take a minute and check in with you, and it's just going to be us today. I wanted to share some updates and also talk about something that has been coming up a lot lately in coaching sessions that I think applies to so many of you. So there is a question that most high achievers never stop to ask themselves, and it's the reason that you can check every box, hit every goal, and still feel like it's not enough. The question is, what is enough? And here's the challenge with being a high achiever. You don't have an off switch. You just keep going. You hit the goal and then you move it. You finish the project and you immediately think about what's next. You have a full day and you still end it feeling like you could have done more. And if you're really honest, enough isn't actually a standard that you've ever defined. It's just this invisible bar that keeps moving. And over time, it becomes your baseline. And I've been thinking about this a lot because this is the exact mindset that I see over and over again with the women I coach. Brilliant, successful, capable, deeply committed women, quietly living with this constant hum of, it's still not enough. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And before I jump in, I want to let you know that I have opened up a limited number of free mini sessions in April specifically to talk about this idea of enough. So if you would like some support with this, head on over to coachleanna.com to grab one of those free mini sessions today. I was talking with a client recently. She's pregnant with her first baby, and midway through her first trimester, she's feeling exhausted, sick, low energy, depleted, and just really not feeling well. And yet, you want to know the thing that she was most upset about? It wasn't about how she felt physically, but it was about how she felt that she wasn't performing at her max capacity, at work and in her marriage and in her friendships. She felt like she was falling short everywhere. And I know that so many of you listening can feel this, maybe not in pregnancy specifically, but those moments where life changes or your capacity changes, but your expectations of yourself stay the same. Because your brain has been trained to believe that no matter the circumstance, you should always be able to push harder. I think if you really stop and think about it, you'll find that this shows up everywhere. When your kids are homesick and you're trying to juggle taking care of them and working, and you're expecting yourself to have the same level of output that you would on a normal work day, and you feel disappointed in yourself whenever you didn't, and you feel frustrated and just not good about the day. When you come back from maternity leave and you're constantly comparing yourself to your pre-baby self and wishing that you could work like you did before. And so the result that you're getting over and over again is predictable. You feel like you're constantly falling short in a game where the roles were never clearly defined. And as high achievers, we've kind of trained ourselves to override reality. We push through, we outwork, we figure it out. We believe that we have no limit. And so when we do hit a limit, whether it's motherhood or illness or burnout or just being human, we don't adjust the expectation. Instead, we judge ourselves for not meeting it. And here's the truth that I know might be hard to hear. Your default will always be not enough. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because you've never actually decided what enough is. Or you let external people or standards determine it for you, which makes so much sense because that's exactly how girls and women are socialized, to be looking outward for our validation and approval. And then we end up internalizing all of those expectations. So your brain just keeps moving the goalposts. If you don't consciously decide what enough is, your brain will always default to never enough because it believes it's necessary to keep you motivated, to keep pushing, striving, and achieving. So here's where I want you to start. In the morning, ask yourself one simple question. At the end of today, how will I know I've done enough? And I want you to actually answer it. Not vaguely, not aspirationally, but very specifically. So maybe it's completing my 3 priority tasks. Maybe it's showing up fully for your board meeting and then being present with your kids. Maybe it's honoring your energy and resting when you need to. There's no right answer, but there is a lot of power in deciding. And then at the end of the day, check in. And here's what will likely happen. Even if you meet your standard, there will be a voice that tells you it wasn't enough. I call this the false motivator. Some of my clients like to call it the drill sergeant, the inner critic, the judge. It is usually the loudest voice in the room, the one that believes that if it stops pushing you, everything will fall apart. You'll stop working hard and you'll start failing and you'll let everybody down, including yourself. But here's what I want you to understand. That voice is not in charge. That voice is not the CEO. It's just one voice at the table. And right now, for so many of you, it is running the entire meeting. So imagine a boardroom going on within yourself where there are multiple voices, your values, your intuition, your body, your inner wisdom. And then there's that drill sergeant who's interrupting and overriding and dominating and constantly demanding your attention. Your job is not to silence it. Your job is to lead the room, just like you do in an actual boardroom with different personalities and challenging people, some of whom want to have the final say on everything. But it's so important to remember that you are in charge. You are the CEO of your own life. And this is where we come back to something that I don't think we talk about enough. Your best is not fixed. There's not this like absolute best version of you that you should be operating at every single day. We always say things like give your best or show up at your best. But I think over time, I've realized that it's much more about your relative best based on the season that you're in, the capacity that you have, and what life is asking of you right now. Because your best on a fully resourced, high energy day where childcare is taken care of and doesn't fall through and you're feeling really good is not the same as your best when you're sick, depleted, juggling caregiver duties, or navigating a major life transition. And expecting them to be the same is where suffering comes from. So when you define what enough looks like for your day, something specific, something measurable, and then you actually meet it, I want you to pause and ask yourself, can I let this be enough? Not because you couldn't do more, but because you decided not to. Because you decided what you were going to do today and you did it. And what's so fascinating is that you already know how to do this. At work, you define success very clearly. You set metrics for yourself and your team. You've got your KPIs and your OKRs, and it's very clearly laid out. And your team knows exactly what success looks like. But when it comes to your own life, you keep it vague. The standard becomes just do more. And then you wonder why it never feels like enough. Imagine if you ran your company that way. Your team would never feel like they were measuring up. And no one would ever hit goals because the goalposts would just keep continuously moving out. If this is resonating with you, this is exactly the work that you need to do and exactly the work that I would love to do with you, because this is not about lowering your standards. It is about defining them on purpose. So you can stop living in this constant gap between what you've done and what you think you should have done. I have opened up a limited number of free one-on-one mini sessions this month. We'll look at where never enough is showing up for you, how your internal standards are actually operating, and start building a definition of enough that you can trust. You can sign up over at coachleanna.com, because the truth is you will always be capable of more. But if you don't decide what's enough, you will never feel like you've arrived. You are absolutely amazing, and you're doing incredible work in this world and having such a huge impact. And it is about time that you finally believe it's enough. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really hope to see you in a mini session this month. I really want to connect with more listeners, and I'll be back next week with another new episode. I hope you have a great week. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to Leadership and Motherhood. I genuinely hope you're walking away with something helpful that will positively impact your life. If this podcast resonates with you, it would mean the world to me if you'd support the show by leaving a 5-star rating on Apple or Spotify, sharing an episode you loved with someone you care about, and/or by following the show. I hope you'll join me again next week, and until then, I'm wishing you all the best in this season of your one and only precious life.